We have a card wound in, goes in with this, but I can't rotate it right now. This would lock it in position so it never advanced. You can make vertical stripes like that. This is going to follow the card exactly. This is going to double the length. I want to follow the card exactly.
Do it with your other hand so we can see the little symbol. See, your finger is blocking the symbol.
All right.
Here, I'll do it. Okay, now I got to get my finger out of the way of the camera. Here we go. This is it. You've got three symbols. You've got a square that says it's not doing anything. Total square. Then you've got a little triangle saying it's every row. Then you have an elongated triangle saying every other row.
And what he means by every row is the card advances every row.
Right.
But it will advance every other row, thus doubling the length on the long triangle.
Right.
But now to make it tuck, I was originally in the plain knitting setting.
Yes.
And we rotate this outer ring.
Watching the little green indicator.
Is it green?
Yeah, behind the windows.
And that should be set up to tuck.
Total bear to get that indicator, which falls out the minute you take the cover off the carriage.
To get it back in.
To get it back where it was actually indicating properly.
And now we're tucking. And this is a classic pattern that I always use for a test because it's so symmetrical that you could easily see if there was an error. An error could mean a bad needle, a bad punch on the card, a problem with the carriage, but we don't have any.
Let's show them. See the needle configuration. This needle, outside needle on the right, is forward. When the carriage goes across, it'll swap those positions. Now the outside needle on the right is in. And that's easy peasy to spot as you're going along.
Exactly.
Are they swapping positions?
To plain here, because I want to show you changing to what any ordinary person would call slip stitch. But it's called empty on this machine, which is kind of cute. But it really means that needle is left empty of an additional loop. So we're doing the same exact thing, but simply by changing that setting and permitting the card to advance, we're getting slip stitch.
Very nice.
And I think I may have an error over here, so I'm pretty sure I know why. I've only got one claw weight. I'm going to put a second one on and see how it goes.
Okay.
We've been doing some detective work, and I want to show you what we came up with. All the needles looked okay to me. I'm trying to get a clear shot. And I kept fooling with them until, take a look at this. When I move this one out, relative to the gate peg, it's closer than the others. See it almost touching this gate peg where this one is centered? And let's see what this one looks like. It's actually leaning slightly. This is the one I just brought out. Sorry about that. It's also leaning towards the gate peg. So these two needles may both be bent a little. In an emergency, if you have nothing to work with, you can try doing this and flexing them back. It may help, but not forever. So since we have extra needles for this, I think we're going to change both of these. They seem to be the culprits. Extra lubing didn't help. This is my first and best estimate. We changed the needles that we were going to change, and the problem got a little bit better, but it didn't go completely away. This is the nature of troubleshooting. Next, I took a good look at the card. I'm going to try to wiggle everything around so you can get a good look. This is the card I was using, the one right in front of you. Can you see dimples in it? Some stretched places. I believe the trouble was the card, because although, and it feels flimsy, it's gotten machine oil on it at times because I used it as the first test. It's very, very, it feels like Braille. It's very convoluted now. Now this card has some stains from where somebody, probably me, taped it somewhere on it, but it feels stiff and smooth, and it has the same knitting pattern, and I've been all the way through it in both tuck and slip without any problems. So it's time to retire this card. Some of those holes are sloppy enough by now that it just doesn't give the machine the information that it needs to get things right. So I'm going to knit a few rows for you. We're using what I would call slip, and this machine would call tuck. This is where I rolled the card back. Don't worry about that. That's from changing horses in midstream, basically. And that little hesitation was where my sleeve got caught. Perfect selection and perfect knitting. Every row except this is, as I said, the change where I rolled the card back. We've inserted color 2 in the second yarn feeder. Make sure it's lined up in there. The first color is where it always was. To go to color, you rotate that outer circle from wherever it was till the green shows up in color. I've already been knitting a little, so it's already selected the needles for the next row. So we're knitting the same 1-by-1 pattern we've been knitting the whole time. But this time, every other needle is knitting in white and every other needle in blue. Just another look. Same card, as you can see. Same settings over here. Only difference, color here. And here's what it looks like. Really cute. Now, if you have a Toyota machine like this one, you are going to have trouble finding cards labeled Toyota. No worries. I think this one is a studio card, and the other one I was using was a brother card. The only problem that you will have is that whatever it says the start line is may be inaccurate. Pretty sure this one's going to be wrong. That's okay. Just rotate it in and find out by setting it to pattern and then watching for when the needles begin to select. They'll come forward in some sort of a design. See what row that is and mark that as the first row on your card, or just rotate it in and check every time. In all honesty, I switch the cards from machine to machine so much, that's what I tend to do. But once it has started and is clipped together and is rotating, you would never be able to tell the difference between a Toyota, Studio, and Brother card. Well, a little amendment to that statement. 24-stitch cards are all alike. There do exist some 12-stitch cards. They are not alike, and those for fine-gauge machines are not alike. But 24-stitch cards will work on this machine, whether they were made for Toyota, Brother, Singer, and Piesel, any of those brands. Okay, our single bed test is done. I'm satisfied that this clean machine is ready to go home and be happy. However, we have yet to do the river. Lunch break and then river. We did a whole bunch on the lace carriage last video, so this is just a quick review while we test it and make sure that after it's cleaning, it's running like gangbusters.
Alright, again, the lace carriage is just like the main carriage. There's a slot in this front foot for this front edge. And just like the main carriage, there's a release button to bring it on, and now it has engaged our drive.
And Jack's going to be the lace maker. Oops. I just saw